Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Governor Steve Bullock extending that stay-at-home order for another 2 weeks. That directive keeps schools, bars, dine-in restaurants, casinos, and other non-essential businesses shut down. The Montana families shut in at least until April 24th. That move had pretty much been expected.
Every action that we take now will help us overcome these challenges, or even better, make sure that we never have to confront them. We don't have to become like New York, Louisiana, or Idaho. And I'll do everything I possibly can to try to make sure that that doesn't happen on my watch. We can and we must keep efforts up to flattening the curve.
Well, the governor now recommends everyone wear a cloth covering, a cloth face mask, when you enter places like grocery stores and pharmacies. But he says it's still most important to wash your hands and maintain good social distancing. The governor says the state is working hard every day to make sure we're getting needed supplies here in Montana. He says right now there's an order for 1 million N95 masks, but he's not going to count it in until he sees them. Well, the number of positive tests stayed the same in Montana, but that's because of the way the numbers are now being reported. It's changing. The number of confirmed tests, 319, that's the same number we brought you last night. The state also reporting the same number of deaths, that's 6. Governor Bullock's communication director tells us this is a change in the reporting process, so now we'll get updated numbers one day later around 10 in the morning. But tonight we have learned of at least one more positive case. Late this afternoon, Richland County reported its first confirmed case of COVID-19. The county health department says just today it received notice about a man in his 40s from the Montana State Lab. Billings school students and parents are now closing in on 4-week mark now already of being out of their buildings and dealing with the new reality of distance learning. 4 weeks will extend to at least 6 weeks after the governor's 2-week extension today. Administrators were expecting that extension and are now planning for May.
I mean, we fully anticipated going into mid-April and then to the end of April. We've been prepared for it from the beginning. So I say that confidently. That doesn't mean that it's eased the burden for families at home trying to be educators and trying to be parents. I'm very respectful of that, but we're continuing to work with our families and our students. But I'm very pleased with where we are and the work that's been done. Not shaken a bit by the 24th.
Upham also says the district is looking at options for graduation this year. No decision has been made yet, but one of those options includes a virtual graduation. For the past few nights at 8 p.m. sharp, the city of Billings has been turning out in force to send a howl up into the sky as a display of gratitude for our healthcare workers. Take a listen. As you can hear there, plenty of people stood on their porches to let out a howl. A Facebook group has popped up organizing the nightly howl in Billings. People in the group said the sound could be heard from all areas of Billings, from the Heights to the South Side to the West End. Healthcare workers at the Billings hospitals have even heard the nightly howl, letting them know they're not alone in the fight against COVID-19. And a big thanks to all the viewers who sent in their howl videos to us tonight. Well, a group in Laurel is keeping some of our nation's hardest workers during this coronavirus pandemic fed. One by one, as truck drivers stopped at the scales in Laurel, they were handed a hot meal and a thank you. Q2's Andrea Lutz takes us to the heart of this good deed not left unnoticed.
Fire on the grill.
And we're out here today cooking hamburgers and hot dogs.
Nourishment all bagged up.
And giving out goodie bags to the truckers to say thank you for keeping the food going, keeping all the industry going.
For every truck that stopped at the westbound Laurel scales on I-90, a tasty meal, a warm greeting, and a thank you.
They're just taken for granted for the most part.
Susan Nagy and her crew with Big Sky Pilots knew they couldn't let some of America's tireless workers during the coronavirus outbreak go unnoticed.
We move America. You know, my pilot trucks and the big rigs move America.
So what started as a simple idea,
we just started getting phone calls. Truckers' wives were calling us saying thank you for feeding my husband.
Turned into some 500 drivers fed, by Monday.
We appreciate everybody for putting it out there and letting them know.
So they plan to hand out even more meals on Tuesday.
It's really a great idea. It's a good thing that they're doing for these truck drivers, showing that they are appreciated.
Their considerate idea to think our truck drivers took off with the momentum of an 18-wheeler.
My husband is in Houston right at the moment with an oversized load, and he heard about it. He called me this morning, said, I guess you were out at the scale yesterday, and he says it's already started to spread down there than what we did up here. So this is going across the country.
A gesture for the deserving. Because when you're working overtime to keep shelves stocked and goods moving across America, a warm meal and a smile can make all the difference. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Thank you, Andrea. Those truckers are much appreciated. Well, you'd be hard-pressed to find an industry hit harder by the COVID-19 outbreak than tourism. Around the world, travelers have canceled vacations, hotels and resorts are sitting empty, and everyone is wondering how long it'll take before people are comfortable traveling again. Q2's Jay Cohn has more tonight on how the industry is wrestling with its new reality. Jay?
It's been a devastating few months for Montana's tourism and travel industry. As the world and our region learns to cope with the coronavirus pandemic, the harsh reality is thousands of people have already lost their jobs, and things are likely going to get worse before they get better. First, the good news. A survey of 1,200 Americans conducted this past weekend indicates a majority of those surveyed say they hope to be traveling again this fall. A growing number say they'll likely drive versus fly, and they plan to avoid crowded destinations, which means that Montana's wide open spaces might be just what the doctor ordered. The same survey shows 65% of those questioned have canceled a trip or reservations in just the past few weeks. Stuart Doggett with the Montana Lodging and Hospitality Association reports that Montana's hotel and motel industry is already seeing widespread layoffs. One study says as many as 5,000 direct job losses just in Montana's hotel motel industry, and when you add in the indirect jobs, that figure climbs to job losses in excess of 14,000. Across the state, hotel owners say right now 8 of 10 rooms are empty on any given night. And on the national level, Doggett says the hotel motel industry is losing as much as $2.4 billion each week. Many of Montana's travel regions say they're beginning now to pivot to market a Montana vacation to nearby markets where travelers can simply jump in their vehicle and drive here. Even the best case scenarios show that Americans probably won't be comfortable traveling again until this fall. And by then, the hotels say they're only expecting, perhaps hoping, for occupancy rates near 50%. In Billings, Jay Cohn reporting for MTN News.
All right, thank you, Jay. And the Billings community beginning to learn more about the economic toll the COVID-19 is taking here. Steve Arbescow with the Big Sky Economic Development stopped by the Billings City Council last night to give an update on what his team has learned in the past few weeks. Q2's Mitch Legge joins us now with those numbers. Mitch?
Local leaders are starting to learn more about how COVID-19 has affected the local economy, and they're starting to craft new ways for businesses to reopen once it's deemed safe to do so. While Arbescow has some rough numbers on the economic toll, he said that he wouldn't necessarily hang his hat on them, because officials are learning more and more every day. Based on economic injury reports from 240 Yellowstone County businesses, 1,450 jobs were immediately lost 3 weeks ago. And business owners were unsure 3 weeks ago if 1,060 jobs would be lost. Arbescow's rough math found with the immediately lost jobs, Yellowstone County could stand to lose an estimated $350 million in economic activity. In the meantime, there is a team made up of representatives from the business community crafting a website with recovery information for business owners.
We have information and resources on our website at Big Sky Economic Development. So does the Chamber. So does downtown. The city has some information. We wanted to create a site where all of us could say, your first click, go to this site. It will unfold for you all the information that's important to you as a business in Yellowstone County.
Arbescow said that the Yellowstone County economy could be in recovery mode for weeks, months, or even years. He said that there's just not enough information to give a strong date at this point.
All right, thank you, Mitch. And Arbescow says that website with information should be available to take a look at some point this Friday. Well, the Billings Police Department released its annual report today, and it shows progress being made in the fight against several types of crimes here in the Billings area, but not all of them. A few of the highlights from that report: homicides were down, burglaries were down, drug offenses were the lowest since 2015, and motor vehicle thefts dropped by double digits. Wasn't all good news, though, as sexual and other assaults, many of them domestic, all saw an increase. Overall, though, Billings Police Chief Rich St. John says he's proud of the job his department has done reducing a number of crimes that had been on the rise.
Put a concerted effort into really attacking the property crimes and some of the aggravated assaults and robberies that we saw in 17 and 18. We were able to do that for the first time in many years, mainly because we were close to fully staffed most of the year. And I think that sets the table for the discussion on any safety levy issues, that when we can dedicate officers to proactive policing, they make a difference.
Well, the chief says it's crucial that the public safety levy is passed to keep the department fully staffed. All right, turning to the forecast now. Meteorologist Ed McIntosh joining us, and the moon taking center stage out there tonight. It was a good night to go out there and do a howl or two.
That's for sure. You could howl both for healthcare workers and for the moon. As we take a look, right now we're in our full moon for the month, but we also have a super moon. That means that right now during the full moon, it also happens to be at its closest point towards the Earth. That means it's a little brighter. It was 30% brighter, and also could appear a little bit larger into the evening sky tonight. So this is going to be the brightest moon of 2020. Hopefully you can see it amongst some of those clouds, but you have an opportunity until first thing tomorrow morning. Moonset is right around 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So watch it across the evening sky and watch for the forecast details coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Ed. With many states either canceling or going all mail-in ballots for their presidential primaries, Wisconsin today went ahead as scheduled with in-person voting. Governor Tony Evers signed an executive order on Monday to move the election to June 9th, but the state Supreme Court ruled later in the day that Evers didn't have the authority to move it. Many poll workers quit, which forced many municipalities to consolidate locations. In Milwaukee alone, the city went from 180 polling locations down to 5, resulting in a wait of up to 3 hours. In compliance with a federal court ruling, results from the primary are not expected until April 13th. And the acting Secretary of the Navy has resigned after making disparaging remarks about the captain of an aircraft carrier who was fired last week. Captain Brett Crozier was relieved of his command of the USS Theodore Roosevelt after a newspaper published a letter he wrote complaining that the Navy wasn't doing enough to protect soldiers from the spread of COVID-19. Well, in a speech to the crew on Sunday, acting Navy Secretary Thomas Modly called Crozier's actions a betrayal, which did not sit well with the crew or President Trump. Modly apologized for his choice of words yesterday, but resigned today after President Trump promised to look into the controversy. Crozier has now reportedly tested positive for coronavirus. Still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, 60 degrees and sunny means one thing: time to do a little barbecue, and we'll do just that on this Takeout Tuesday. Plus, a young Montana girl uses a paintbrush to overcome personal tragedy, all while helping others deal with mental illness. And in sports, we're going to show you how Q2's Athlete of the Week has taken Rocky to new heights.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.